Now we gotta talk about football because USA Eagles hoodie, because my Eagles have made it to the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, but they made it. And so here I am, one of my favorite Christmas gifts, this amazing blanket hoodie situation. I have to be realistic about my team, and I know there's no Super Bowl run that we're going on. But it's really exciting that they're even making it to the postseason after all of the injuries that we've suffered all season. Sometimes you just gotta cut bait and let it be done. Happy New Year, friends! We are back for another episode of Catherine's Quarters. I have my new Foco USA Eagles hoodie because my Eagles have made it to the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, but they made it. And so here I am, one of my favorite Christmas gifts, this amazing blanket hoodie situation. I'm probably going to wear it every day this weekend just because hopefully it's good luck, but I won't do the whole vlog in this because that would be kind of crazy. I just wanted you guys to see. They have amazing stuff. Like, this is, and obviously, like, they're not paying me to say this, like, this is the coolest thing, and I'm so obsessed with it. It even has pockets, guys. It has pockets. But yes, it's so fast. So happy New Year. Like I said, so excited to continue Catherine's Quarters in 2020. It's going to be amazing. We have so much stuff to talk about. Some coaching decisions that we're waiting on, the playoff pictures for the NFC and the AFC. First things first, I want to talk about basketball. Former NBA Commissioner David Stern passed away this past week. A couple of weeks ago, David Stern suffered a brain hemorrhage, and this past week he passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 77. David Stern is credited with making the NBA global. I believe he was the commissioner for 30 years, and in those 30 years, he literally changed the league. It's a big loss. It's really unfortunate. I mean, a bunch of players, obviously, Bill Russell, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, all of the big names in basketball, they have all come out and they've said really nice messages and mourning the loss of David Stern. I'm not going to be able to remember 1984 when he first became the NBA commissioner because I wasn't even a thought. But it's pretty insane to think about the fact that he spent more than half of his life dedicating his life to basketball and dedicating his life to making the NBA great, and we lost a good one. So I had to start there. We got to get that out of the way. Now we got to talk about football because so much has happened. So NFL playoff pictures are set. NFC, AFC, wild card weekend is this weekend. We will definitely get to that, but I of course have to talk about week 16 and 17, obviously, because my Eagles pulled it out. When the Eagles played the Cowboys, I was super sick. I had the flu. It was horrible. I was so upset. I was so tired. I couldn't even watch the game. I went to sleep. Like, I had turned the game on my TV, and I was like, I'm just gonna try and like just have it in the background. I'm gonna listen to the plays. I'm gonna be able to know. And I fell asleep like first quarter of the game because I was so exhausted. The flu is exhausting, guys. Like, I don't wish that on anybody. It was horrible. But I was so exhausted, I fell asleep during the game, and I had dreams, and I remember this. I had dreams that the Eagles lost to the Cowboys, and I was so upset, and I woke up the next day, and I was like, the Eagles won? The Eagles beat the Cowboys? They have a chance to make it to the playoffs? Like, we don't have anybody on our squad. Everybody was out, and we beat the Cowboys. And then, of course, we had to go and we had to play the Giants and we had to beat the Giants. I was so stressed out, like sick and stressed about football. It was too much. But we ended up pulling it out. So now we are in the playoffs. We are in wild card weekend. We have to play the Seahawks. It's fine. I have to be realistic about my team. And I know there's no Super Bowl run that we're going on. But it's really exciting that they're even making it to the postseason after all of the injuries that we've suffered all season. So we also have to talk about the Cowboys because the Cowboys, boy, there is just so much turmoil in Cowboys land. Jason Garrett is still technically employed under contract until January 14th as the head coach for the Cowboys. When I say reported everywhere that Jason Garrett was going to be gone, reported everywhere. He's gone 8-8 for multiple seasons. They've made the playoffs, I think maybe 3 or 4 times in the 10 years that he's been there. There are a lot of coaches who would have been fired after 4 seasons of what Jason Garrett has given them. And a reporter brought up a really good point that Jason Garrett has been within the Cowboys organization, whether playing as a backup quarterback, whether it was offensive coordinator or in some capacity, he has been with the Jones family for like, I want to say 20 years or something insane like that. And when you have somebody who's been in your space and understands your organization and understands how you work and understands your players, when you have somebody like that, it's hard to get rid of them. But it's going to be interesting to see how long they drag this out, because there are other teams who are also in the market for a head coach. They are kind of in a place where if you plug in a head coach who has experience in the league, you guys are in a good place. And I mean, Skins, they are, as much as we talk about the Redskins being bad, the Redskins are in a place where they kind of need like a few pieces here and there, but they're not that far off. And of course the Eagles, like, we just won the division with absolutely nothing. So imagine when we have all of our weapons back on defense and on offense and all of that. It's not like we're going anywhere anytime soon. And I mean, the Giants, they have Saquon and they have Daniel, who's going to have one more year under his belt to understand how the NFL works and all of that. I mean, not to say that the NFC East is going to be like some big time contender and everybody's going to be going to the playoffs from the NFC East. That's not how that works. The NFC East is always one of those things where like anybody can win it. And going into this next season, your head coach is important. Your quarterback is important. There's just a lot at play here, but we will see what the Cowboys end up doing. Obviously, I will keep you guys updated. I personally feel like I would not drag this on for so long. Like Jerry Jones said a month ago that Jason Garrett would be a head coach in the NFL. He didn't say for the Cowboys. He said in the NFL. That's the writing on the wall right there. I don't understand. Why, like, just you're dragging this out. And dragging this out. Sometimes you just gotta cut bait and let it be done. We're gonna start talking about the playoff picture. Obviously, it's wild card weekend, so we'll get to those teams, but let's just talk about NFC and AFC playoff pictures in general. So, the Ravens, #1 seed. #2 seed is the Kansas City Chiefs. The Patriots, for the first time in 10 years, are the #3 seed. They're gonna play the #6 seed, which is the Tennessee Titans, who have strangely, I don't know, I was surprised that they made it to the playoffs. Derrick Henry, he can run all over you, obviously, but like Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, Ryan Tannehill used to play for the Miami Dolphins, and we already know what the Miami Dolphins represent. So I find it very interesting that the Tennessee Titans are in the playoffs, one, but also people are picking them to beat the Patriots. Look here, the Patriots went 12-4. They won 12 games. They haven't been that great on offense. It's been a lot of their defense, but their defense is really good. And if you think about it, it's the Patriots. It's Tom Brady and it's Bill Belichick. It's hard to count them out of anything because they have been so dominant. This is the first time in 10 years that they won't have a first round bye and that they're not a 1 or a 2 seed. It's crazy to think about that type of dominance. So they're gonna play the Titans. People are calling for this being possibly like one of the big wild card weekend upsets. I doubt it. I don't see the Titans stepping up to the plate and playing the Patriots the way the Patriots need to be played to get beat. I just don't see that happening. I suggest you tune into that game because that may very well be an interesting one and I could be completely wrong. I just don't think I am. And then of course we have the #4 Texans who are gonna play the Bills. That's gonna be a great game. JJ Watt, who suffered from a torn pectoral muscle, I wanna say it was like the end of November, end of October, something like that. He's supposedly supposed to be back for this first round playoff game, thinking that they're gonna get Will Fuller back. On the Buffalo Bills side, they are hoping that they're gonna have Tre'Davious White back, their shutdown corner. One of the most interesting games for wild card weekend, definitely gonna be #5 Bills at the #4 Texans. Gotta make sure you tune into that on Saturday. So in the NFC, San Francisco 49ers are the #1 seed. #2 seed is the Green Bay Packers. I feel like that is super surprising. #3 seed is obviously the New Orleans Saints. They're great. Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. What are you gonna do? #4 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to them for winning their division and having to play in wildcard weekend. Fine, whatever, you made it to the playoffs. #5 seed is the Seattle Seahawks after their loss to the San Francisco 49ers. And then the #6 seed is the Minnesota Vikings. So the NFC games are on Sunday. The Vikings go to the New Orleans Saints. Even though we talk about Kirk Cousins not being that great and he's not thought of as like a postseason guy. But the Vikings offense can be explosive when it wants to. And obviously the Saints offense. What else can we say about the Saints offense? I think that's going to be the better of the NFC games because the Eagles play the Seahawks. Both teams are beat up. Both teams have injuries on offense and both teams have good defenses, but the Eagles defense has been kind of suspect in some games and then the Seahawks defense is good, but they've lost a couple games that you're kind of surprised that they let those things happen. Mind you, Marshawn Lynch came back for the Seattle Seahawks in the game against the 49ers. He had a couple of good carries, and mind you, Marshawn Lynch has not played football in a year, but the Eagles are gonna have to shut down Marshawn Lynch, because they're going to be without Rashad Penny, Chris Carson, CJ Prosise, all of those guys. Carson Wentz is going to have to play lights out like he did, and Russell Wilson is also going to have to play lights out because of what they have to work with on their various offenses. So it's going to be interesting to see just whose defense shows up when, and with all of the injuries that both teams have, just what the game plan is going to be. As far as the Seahawks-Eagles game, the Seahawks have a lot of postseason experience. Carson Wentz is coming into this playing his first postseason game. First playoff game. And while, yeah, we could say that the last couple of weeks he's been playing in playoff style because every time they've had to win, otherwise they're going home or they're not making it to the playoffs, but this is his real first playoff game. Like, actually, if they lose on Saturday, there's no game next week that you hope the Cowboys lose to where you can make it in. No, 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 no. If you lose on Sunday, you lose, and you're going home and you're packing your suitcases until the beginning of next season. So this is going to be an interesting, battle between a bunch of guys who have played in the postseason before and a bunch of guys for the Eagles who have not played in the postseason. Between the Saints and the Vikings, the Saints are going to pull this out. I think the Patriots are going to wipe the floor with the Titans, and everybody is going to be back on the Patriots and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick bandwagon. And then I actually think the Bills are going to pull it out over the Texans. And the Texans are hoping that they get Will Fuller back, and like I said, they're going to get J.J. Watt, but I think that they could upset the Texans, and that would be an interesting storyline. That's my big upset for Wild Card Weekend. And it's not even that big of an upset because it's the number 5 seed versus the number 4 seed, but we shall see. It's gonna be a great Wild Card Weekend. All right, friends, that's it for this short episode of Katherine's Quarters. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below if you haven't done so already. And of course, it's NFL Wild Card Weekend. I am so gonna be tweeting about all of the games, and I'm not sick this time, so I swear I'll be tweeting. But definitely make sure, follow me on Twitter. I will be giving you all of the highlights, big plays, little plays, and hopefully we hear something about Jason Garrett this weekend too. We shall see. Thanks so much for joining me. Check y'all later.